What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And I know, guys, this one's a real tough one. Coming off, off the back of 66-6 against the Gold Coast Titans over the weekend, I feel like this is probably the perfect time to make another one of these videos sort of thing and going through what's going on with the boys, what's going on with the Warriors, our season so far, what's it looking like, and what do we need to do to fix up in a lot of areas. So again, guys, it's going to be one of those ones where I'm not going to heavily edit this video because I feel like it's going to be fairly long. I probably don't have a lot of time on my hands to really do this, like to edit it and really, chuck up things, stats and all that sort of stuff. And I think the best way to really talk about the boys currently right now is the eye test, what I'm seeing out there, the effort areas, and my thoughts overall. I'll probably have a little bit of stats to back up my arguments as well, but also I just want to talk to you guys about what I'm seeing, like more so as a fan, I guess, and like what I think off the top of my head, things that I could really see fixing it. And like maybe arguing like a couple of points that I'm seeing online, but also saying that you guys are onto something. It's just very simple ways of things that people are putting it out online. So I want to go through 3 parts here. I want to touch on the positives over the weekend, or positives over our side, our negatives. We go through the negatives of what's going on with us, and then my resolutions overall. So we're touching on a lot of different points, guys. Sean Johnson versus Tomato Martin is definitely a point I really want to touch on. That's going to be in the negatives part. RTS, where do we really put him and what's going on with him? We'll touch on that a little bit. The game plan. I know a lot of people want to know about our game plan, what's going on, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. Our defense, and that's a key point I want to give to you guys, because I know a lot of people want our attack to be really good, but again, guys, we need to defend 66 points. No matter how SJ and Tomato Martin were going to combine in that game, if you can't defend 66 points, there was no way we're going to win a game if the Gold Coast Titans are going to score 66 points. We'll touch on that a little bit. And then my resolution. So we'll go through my thoughts overall on like all those things and what I could see could really fix it. But I'll start with the video. Also, shout out the Gold Coast Titans and how they play their football, their game plan running out on the weekend. Absolutely incredible. They were on fire. 12 line breaks. I would say that the boys, for me, it looked like the boys didn't turn up, but I don't want to take away from the Gold Coast Titans because they had a game over the last week against the Tigers where defensively they did miss a lot of their marks in the middle. I felt like they were lackluster in the middle in moments and that. But when they're looking at attack, I think they had 9 line breaks against the Tigers over the weekend. Couldn't finish a lot of those moments in that game. I felt like every moment they got in this game, they took it and they finished it to the best ability. When you got players like Garn Pereira and all those guys at the back of it, you're a very scary side when things go your way. So this video is not at all taken away from the Gold Coast Titans because I thought their game plan was incredible. The way they used Dave Fafita to really push off Morata near Corday. The reason how Morata's effort really maybe hampered him a little bit in this game, but also it's not a negative at all. I'm going to be touching on actually Morata near Corday being the positive over the weekend. And then the way the Titans really use those spots and open up our defense, especially through the middle and what's going on there. So shout out to Gold Coast Titans. Shout out to BKR Sport. I'll probably be on his vlog too, guys. I probably didn't give the best sort of chat there because I was definitely my head was gone. I had no words for that performance. I really don't know where I was at, but he is such an amazing guy, guys. I know that you can see a person from YouTube and you see the energy he has, and I know he can be very polarizing for some people, but I really do feel like if you meet him in person and you see what he does for the Gold Coast community and how he turns up to every game, full credit and full respect to him. So go check him out. It was massive to meet him, and he was an incredible person. He's a really tall bloke. So I know I'm rambling a little bit. This probably going to be a longer video, but I want you guys to be side by side with me, listen to me, and just we'll work together through what our thoughts are with our squad and what's going on here. So positives over the weekend. Morata near Corday is the biggest positive I want to give to you guys. So played 55 minutes in this game here. Stats wise, you won't see a lot of he wasn't absolutely incredible stats wise, 75 run meters. I felt like we used him a lot more than what I saw here, but 10 runs there, 75 run meters, 25 post contact, doesn't say a lot, but JC had to do a lot of defending. And shout out to Jaden Campbell. I don't like him usually in that 6, but he showed that he could defend at that 6 a little bit better than what first seen in first grade, so maybe he's growing in that area a lot more. He's first contact was really, really good over the weekend. But Morata, I want to point out the defensive effort that this guy has, and Levon's pointed this out already in some of the reels and stuff he's put out there, especially with our game plan stuff. Levon's incredible for that sort of stuff, and Morata even shouted him out a little bit there too. So bloke in a bar, rugby league guru, but what he was doing over the weekend, for a fan that was like, I was pretty much at the back of the goalpost there. You got to see a lot of our defensive shape and movement through the middle and where we were falling apart, especially in our first contact. We were completely off the pace there, especially after probably, I think that game had like a 15-minute arm wrestle there where I felt like it was pretty 50-50. We had a lot of good moments where the boys really turned up a little bit, but then like it just completely fell off the pace through the middle. But Morata was actually covering on that right side edge back roll, and the reason why I probably like really noted him, pointed him out, was I knew that was going to be the area that the Gold Coast Titans were going to attack with first, because you got Dave Fafita on that side. If you got Dave Fafita, you're going to attack through Dave Fafita, and that's where some of the best attacking sides have, you know, they have that I call it legit a pivot point. And I think in like, you know, football, you got your tram line sets, and it opens up attacking shape because you can play short side, you can play open side. So they're going to run through that. They're going to really spot up on probably the weakest defender in your line is usually either, you know, you got your wingers and stuff like that, but in your proper line there is your halfback. So usually your halfback's going to get through a lot of work if he's going to be the spot. Morata had to cover SJ on that side that ended up missing 6 tackles, and I feel like SJ got his body in front of a lot of moments there, but still, like, you know, I feel like injuries have probably hampered him a lot more, and we'll touch on that a little bit later on. But Morata was covering that. But even when we had Dylan Walker, our makeshift edge-back rower that I don't think suits, and even on the weekend, if you go check out Run It Straight, me, Sammy, Anthony Gelling, we're talking about the game, you know, coming into the game and stuff like that. When I saw that, I thought we're going to change that coming into the game. I think that's definitely a negative. We'll touch on that on the negative as well. But when Dylan Walker was on the edge, he's not an edge-back rower, and we've seen that over the weekend. A lot of it came down from defensive movements and how he kind of like moved more so in the middle to try and cover defensive shape in the middle, where defensively in the middle we fell off. Morata was pointing that out really quickly, that that was happening. There was a hole to be plugged on that left side edge back roll. I saw moments where legit Morata was defending on that right side. I think there was a moment where Dave Fafita got out of dummy half, got to that left-hand post through the dummy half scoot, which would have opened up, I think, their right-hand shift. He saw that Dylan Walker, I think he got covered in on there. If you go watch it live, you get to see him run from right side edge back rower out the back like a fullback and cover in that left side edge back rower roll to defend in that shape. That for a edge back roller is like mental, the effort that he played there with in defense in the weekend. And Levon's pointed out perfectly what he does, especially when shape goes his way, and the way he pushes off his number and then pushes out. And that's the best way to defend shape going out the back, is having that edge back row in your middles really push out and tie in and push everything outwards, and it doesn't cause a breakdown to where you see a winger having to dart back in. That's the reason why defensive shapes fall apart, is a lot of the times when a winger sees that you know, a spot happens, so like maybe say an edge back row gets on the outside of a halfback, and you see that the numbers fall apart on that edge, you get a 3-on-2 look. A winger's always going to dart in to cut that off, like especially in our system, the Penrith system and the Doggies system. You get to see it a lot in those systems. They want to cut off time because they rather you beat them on the outside and play that last pass than to run through your numbers and get caught out 2-on-1s and really caught in that same sort of predicament anyway. So the shape is to cut in, cut off time. So Morata does so well on pushing outwards and pushing everything outwards. But when I saw him run from one edge to the other to plug holes, we need to really point out those moments, and those are the effort players that are going to win us football games, especially defensively. I know we lost by 66 and there's a lot more problems going on in the middle, but Morata definitely wasn't the problem in the weekend. Defense is where games are won in rugby league, and it's the reason why you start to see a lot of teams get consistency in their game, like the Penrith Panthers, the Canterbury Bulldogs this year especially, even though they lost over the weekend. But the one thing about the Canterbury Bulldogs is they've bitten into a defensive system, and you can say they're playing their most consistent football they've ever played through the last how many years tenure that the Canterbury Bulldogs have been falling off the pace since 2013 or whatever it's been. You got to we got to learn as Warriors fans, and I know it's really tough to say because a lot of old school Warriors fans got to see the years that our attacking football has been unbelievable. We got offload kings of, you know, Ali Lauti'i, and you got to see, you know, Clint Tupy, you got to see Francis Melli, that even defensively, Francis Melli had some good moments too. But like I'm talking about, you know, we had big wingers that were charging down sidelines that, you know, we were playing like, you know, Phillies, and, you know, all these attacking players, like even like Stacey Jones, he was like, you know, bouncing off right foot. You know, Sean Johnson early in his career, he was playing like, you know, fuck it footy, a couple of big right foot steps and stuff. But what you notice with our Warriors, when we were playing that football, we were the most inconsistent side in the competition because you never knew what we were coming up with because we were attacking football side. The best sides, the consistent sides in the competition are defensive football sides. When you start to see defense fall out of a football side, a la the Cowboys from 2021 onwards from that, where they fell in love with attacking shape, they've been the most inconsistent side to watch in football at the moment. A la the Broncos currently, coming off their best season last year in a couple of years, obviously winning a wooden spoon recently, and that last year looked incredible. It wasn't just because Reece was playing there, playing fuck it footy out the back end or anything like that, which definitely helps them, but they were playing some of the best scramble defense in the game, especially when you watch that grand final where, early in the game, they limited the Panthers that had a stranglehold in the possession to 8 points, I think, at halftime. And I think they got the try back before halftime, 8-6 from memory. That's how you win football games. We need to change our whole outlook of like, this is Sean Johnson's problem, this is this problem. No, the problem over the weekend, and we'll tie it into the negatives, guys. The problem over the weekend was our defense, our middle defense, and how our middles are not linking up with our edge back rower or our edge in general. What I saw over the weekend is our first contact was completely off the pace. And when we played our best football, we were playing so hard, we were tackling hard, we were winning the ruck. Early on in the game, you notice with the Gold Coast Titans, with a very limited experience front row pairing of Balasia, who hasn't been playing his best football at all for the Titans this year, and Pahulu, who's a junior, a first year Titan, just winning the ruck against us. We were giving them a lot of piggybacks for the middle. I think at the end of the game, they end up, I know I had a lot of long range tries in that, but they end up having 2,135 run meters against our side. And a lot of that came through the middle. We saw Isaac Liu break apart our middle. Isaac Liu hasn't played anywhere close to his best football since the Roosters days at all. It was at one point that I don't think he was even finding himself in that Titans jersey at all in this year. Our defensive middle sometimes just completely falls off the pace. And I'm not wanting to tie it down. Like, Chanel had a very poor effort in that tackle there. He got his body in front, but, his smaller body, he just got ran over the top of. But we had moments where I'm not pointing out Jazzy either, because I thought Jazzy, helped a lot in moments too. But he had that really poor miss with Chris Randall in the middle. And when JC, the big one that pointed it out for me, we had Dylan Walker again somehow find his way on that right side edge back roll because he was pushing through the middle and covering a lot of the middle shape. He pushed to that right side edge back roll and overchased on JC. The overchase is fine as long as our middles are working in. Our middles are not tying into our left side edge or our right side edge at all, which is not pushing our shape enough outside. As soon as JC came off that left foot, bro, there was open space. We had a legs tackle that, doesn't get rewarded in rugby league right now. The offload off the back of that, end up Balasia scoring that try. It's going to be noted down as a left side try. But that was won through the middle because our middles were finding moments to take breaks in the middle. It was even pointed out very early on in the game where we're in the arm wrestle and an AKP scored that try. And instead of any of the boys covering to get back to stop AKP from getting under the post at all, I saw AFB, I saw a number of our middle forwards take a knee. Those are the effort areas that it just this was it felt like a one-off game, but maybe this has happened in a lot of moments this year that I've not noticed, especially on TV. But live, when I'm starting to really pinpoint a lot of players' movements, that was so poor. And it's the reason why line breaks are killing us this year, especially in this game. 12 line breaks to 1. A lot of it has come down to a lot of players that are overworking and not another player, covering that space on the inside, or even a lot of times on the outside as well, because our numbers aren't pushing out enough. And I feel like that starts from the middle, and maybe in the area. I know we've been looking a lot of our edge defense. Adam Pompey had a couple of really poor misses in this game. He got found out. And usually a lot of times where Adam Pompey gets found out, especially with speedy football sides, because he's so relaxed on that edge, he plays the defensive shape of I'll defend inside and then push out. He's very much he pushes out late sometimes, and sometimes he'll push out late and that inside shoulder, it just goes that miss that he had on Beau Fermor. Amazing line from Beau Fermor, but like, you know, there was no wrapping action at all from Adam Pompey. He went in with just a lead shoulder and he just let him through. Like, that was really, really poor there. But a lot of that starts through our middle defense, and I felt like that's been a little bit off the pace in a couple of games this year, and it's been very inconsistent. And it kind of shows that maybe there's an attitude thing going on with the squad. And I don't want to assume anything, but Adam Fanor-Blake really, really disappointed me over the weekend, especially for someone that's supposed to be one of our key leaders. And I think this is what the difference is when we have, I don't want to talk about next year too much because we still got a year ahead of us. But what Fisher Harris might be the difference is comparatively. And, you know, ads, I'm not bashing ads at all, but on the weekend, as soon as we got on our back foot, you started to know the effort of Adam Fanor-Blake really dip off completely. There was a, you know, obviously the really bad miss. I think it was Keanu Keeney was played back on the inside, and the man to cover that inside cover was Adam Fanor-Blake, and he was well off the pace, finding a moment to catch his breath, and he didn't cover there at all. And then you see him like walk his way back in the line and just not have a bar of it. And what ended it for me was at the end of the game, we got smacked 66-6, but we still had, I know a lot of people are saying a lot of fans went home, but there was still a majority of fans of Warriors fans there waiting for the boys because we just went through a 60-point slacking, and we just kind of wanted to see the boys, see their effort, see, like, you know, them go out there and just say, like, not say sorry, but go out and just see the fans, because a lot of fans took the big effort to go Gold Coast over the weekend. As didn't even shake any of the boys' hands, didn't shake any of the Titans' hands, went straight into the sheds. I won't be surprised if there's any sort of talk again with releases or something going on there. Whatever's happening at the moment there is not helping our football side. And it's like when we're playing good football, Adam Fanor-Blake's a key. He's a plus. Like, he will go for 200 meters, look incredible. But what I'm starting to notice is the leadership when we go behind in football is what we had last year, is by boys biting down on the mouthpiece and trying to turn the contest over. We are lacking that a lot this year, and it's starting to see that maybe some of our big leaders are really falling off the pace as soon as we go behind. And now one of our biggest leaders who's like wanting a release this year, Adam Fanor-Blake, that was not good enough. And I'm sure that he'll say, like, stats wise, I think he only ran for like 70 meters in this game and that, which is not like ads. I think attacking football is him. That's the difference between him and Fisher Harris, and what gives me a little bit more light at the end of the tunnel for next year. If we want to look at towards next year, I still think there's an ability this year to get to top 8, but we're looking at next year. Fisher Harris is one of those guys that will look guys dead in the eyes and not just walk away from the side. He'll look them dead in the eyes and say, this is what you've done wrong. We're going to fix this and we're going to do this. Those boys, they have a standard they set, and they don't fall behind that. It does seem to be as soon as Adam Fanor-Blake's clocked off and like something's not going his way, his attitude is, I'm leaving, I don't care. And I think a lot of fans are starting to point that out a lot more now. Not saying Adam was the sole problem of this performance here, but I feel like there's an attitude thing, there's an effort thing that's happening with our side, and it's just showing in our defense completely. And maybe there's more to look into that. Our second negatives here, guys, is Shaun Johnson and Tamade Martin. And I feel like this is not a massive, massive negative, but this is a problem that we need to fix now. I know this is going back on, this is our attacking shapes, guys. And I wanted to touch on this, is like, this is not Shaun Johnson's fault this game. And I'm sick of seeing fans going online and saying that the performances, as soon as he's got back from in the lineup, we're having poor performances again. Attacking wise, yeah, it's not looking as pretty as what it was before, even though we scored 24 points against the Melbourne Storm over the weekend, which are seemingly leaking points a bit more at the moment, but still scoring some good points there. We didn't get a lot of good attacking ball in this game in a good attacking position because a lot of errors hampered that, but it's not working. And I know a lot of fans are really seeing that and just pointing that down to that's the reason why we lost. It's not the reason why we lost. Attacking is not the reason why we lost this game. Defensively is why we lost this game. But if we want to be a good attack too, guys, on the top of our defense, I think we might have to look at Tamade Martin being our number 7 for the future. And this hurts me to say because, as you see, I'm probably one of the biggest Shaun Johnson fans around. Like, he was the reason why I followed the Warriors to start with. Like, when I was a young boy coming up, like, I loved Darren Lockyer, Carmichael Hunt, Stacey Jones, Benji Marshall. I loved football. I watched football all the way up till, because obviously we only had Channel 9 here in Australia, and that used to always play just Broncos games. Everyone knows that, like the Friday night, the Thursday night, the Sunday afternoon. The Broncos would get those spots because they are one of the biggest viewership teams in the competition. So the Channel 9 won the rights there. they get, Broncos games. I got to see a lot of that. But as soon as I started to get Foxtel, the internet was a big thing. I saw Shaun Johnson's highlights, touch highlights, fell in love with him as a player. I thought he was absolutely incredible. Some of my best memories ever, watching football is due to this man here. So this is not taken away. Like, I love Shaun Johnson. I don't think he's our complete problem on the side, but I think we're at a point now where we're going to have to choose the 7. And the reason why I'm saying Tamati Martin currently right now is I do believe that maybe we should be looking at the future. I do believe that maybe Shawnee's body is starting to break down, and I'm not saying his performances are bad. I'm just saying his body is not getting through the games that usually is, and especially when we're getting put on the back foot. I don't think he's got that extra key anymore, and this hurts to say so much because, again, kicking wise, playmaking wise, I think Shaun Johnson definitely is our better halfback when he's fully healthy. But I'm starting to see now that I don't think Shawnee is back to where he was last year, especially health-wise. He's had an Achilles injury to get over this year. He's had, I think early on in the year, we had Luke Metcalf kicking the football. I think it came out that he had a groin strain. And then obviously, he had that pec injury that had him out. And then coming into this game at the weekend, as soon as like a lot of traffic got put in his way, he's come up with a hamstring niggle. So his body's not really what it used to be. And then when we look at that 3-game stint of Tamati Martin, it just shows that our system's good enough now to where we can plug Tamati Martin in there and it's going to play absolutely amazing. And onto Tamati Martin, he is not a 6. And we've seen with both these boys here, and this is the reason why I'm bringing up this argument, is none of these guys can play second fiddle. Shaun Johnson and Tamati Martin cannot play second fiddle to any of each other. And I don't think they can play balance because I don't think our game plan suits a balanced 6 and 7 as a both ball handling 7s, if that makes sense. I think we have to have a 6 foil to our 7 that's going to dictate both sides of the ruck. We're going to have to play both sides of the ruck with, Chauncey playing maybe right side and having Chanel on the left side. I think that's the best way we're going to run towards the end of the year till we get Luke Metcalf back. But we saw some of our best football that we've seen is when we have a proper 6 in that 6 jersey and not Shaun Johnson and Tamati Martin with both those 7s. The Rabbitohs game seems to be a little bit more of a, a variability. Where, we had an incredible game, but a lot of our attack came through our middle there. And I thought that was unbelievable with Wade Egan and stuff like that. But when we go to, down the other end of the field and in a proper attacking shape to score tries, I do believe this year we've looked better with Tamati Martin in that 7 jersey because he kind of is a gunslinger. He'll just let it happen, where Shawnee will get back to the system. So for me, I think we might need to start looking at Tamati Martin for the future, being a younger player that's probably going to play that 7 role until Luke Metcalf or Jet Cleary or even Luke Hansen. We got a lot of young halves that are going to be coming. Well, Jet Cleary's coming to the club. And don't yell at Jet Cleary either. He's going to have a couple of years of development before we have to get him into one of these jerseys. And even then, it's not a given that he's going to be a 6 or 7 for the future. But Luke Metcalf's at the club. He's going to be one of our futures as well. I think we need to start looking at that. And unfortunately, from the news, there was a one point this year where Shaun Johnson was looking at the extension, that was a 1-year extension. I think this is going to be a real tight one. And he rejected the 1.7 from the Roosters. But I don't think it's fully confirmed that he ended up signing for 1 more year yet. I might be completely wrong. Make sure you fact check me in the comment section down below too, guys. But there was one moment this year where I'm pretty sure that Shaun Johnson was re-signing with us, but I don't know if he's fully re-signed. I'm not too sure, but we might need to start looking at Tamati Martin as our 7 in general. And it's not to say Shaun Johnson's a shit footballer. I'm sick of seeing that in the comment sections. I'm sick of seeing the Warriors fans use Shaun Johnson as a scapegoat and questioning everything he does as soon as he get back in the lineup. It sucks. It sucks to see, especially being one of our best Warriors. For me, I know this is a real controversial one, but I do believe he's been our best Warrior that I've seen in that jersey, best 7. I think Stacey's been incredible too, and it's probably the new age versus the old age here, but Shawnee in the first year grand final, they both won golden boots, but I've lived through my best moments with Shaun Johnson, and there's probably more tying into me not growing up, watching every Warriors game, but I've definitely gone back and watched them. But I think that it sucks to see, it really hurts, but I think we need to start looking at, as an organization, moving forward with Tamati Martin, but also give Shaun Johnson maybe a coaching role in the halves and continue to run with him around the club because I think he deserves it. I just think that if we're looking at our attacking shape and the way our team works the best is with a 6 and a 7, And Sean Johnson is definitely not a 6. And we can't be playing him out the back of shape is what I saw over the weekend. There was moments where Shawnee was trying to get balance back into the lineup, like playing first off the ruck. But where I thought where he fell off completely out of the pace was when he was playing out the back of shape. Like that Alofiana Cabrera intercept really nails down of like Sean Johnson cannot play that role. And I don't think he's looked good playing that role. He's not a running footballer anymore. You're putting a lot more running in his legs playing in that way. And I think you're going to see a lot more injuries come that way. Tamade Martin needs to be that 7 to run out to the year for the future too, guys. Yeah, it sucks to say. It really sucks to say. Moving on to RTS. This is another point where I'm going to have to bring up and probably put my hand up and say maybe maybe I was wrong. Like, I still would love to see RTS probably get used better at the center. And my argument against it the whole time, and you probably saw it at the weekend, RTS never got good ball at all in that center position, but I think it's not so much of like, what can we do to make RTS a better center? Because we're not doing that at all right now, and how to fix that. I think it's more so we're just going to have to like say, nah, we're going to have to put him on the wing and get him to do some work through the back end, because that's where he's showing his best ability at the moment. I hate the argument at the moment. I've seen a lot, like people are bringing up how he didn't chase down Dave Fafita. Dave Fafita is a quick body. Like, for a big boy, he's a quick body. Like, you've seen it with like Tyson Frizzell, like, you know, chase down Dave Gagai in Origin and stuff like that. A lot of these edge back rolls are quicker than what you think they are, and RTS having to turn and chase a lot of times and try to chase down and cover moments there. He had that really nice ankle tap on Dave Fafita there too, but physically I think he's still around about there. I think he's probably not his old self. That's what worries me playing on the wing, because a lot of people only saw what he was at the Roosters at the wing, but you forget that that was an old, like, young RTS. But I would say that out of our wingers there too, I would say that RTS definitely has a higher work rate. He can get through that 170 meters per game. As Anthony Gelling pointed out in a running straight when we had a chat on like RTS as center or wing, a lot of the stats that we do bring up, and like he was playing it at center, you see some of the better centers play that way of like Herbie Farnworth, and that get through a lot of work, especially post-contact meters, run meters, stuff like that. Same as Joey Manu's of the world. But a lot of those stats could also say that you're a great winger and you can come off your back end, do a lot of work for the middle. And what I saw over the weekend was a lot of people will point out that RTS wasn't getting through a lot of work. A lot of that comes down to playing as a center. You have got to hold your width. That's probably a lot of people's arguments against players like, you know, Katoni Staggs and stuff like that. When they see Katoni doesn't work hard enough, is a lot of times a lot of coaches say you got to hold your width. Like, that's a coaching system thing. But for RTS and our team probably to look a lot better, I think we're going to have to look at a tough question between Monty and RTS. I think Dale's got to lock in that spot because of finishing ability. His speed's probably a bit more than Monty. But now we also got a question is like, you know, do we find another position for Monty? Does Monty play well enough at that center position? He's played some decent moments in center, or would you want to run with Adam Pompey? And I think Adam Pompey has done enough to lock down our spot, even though he's shown some defensive problems again. You know, in this game here, I think a lot of the problems come down for speed, but maybe having RTS, that's a fair, like a really good defender. We saw a lot of big, good moments. You know, that sin bin, I still can't believe that was a sin bin. It didn't lose us a game, but man, like that was a solid tackle. RTS is a great defender, so I think that maybe him on the wing could help out Pompey a little bit defensively there too, and shutting down all of that shape coming on the outside and Pompey trying to cover out the back. I don't know, but I think we might have to look into that. And I'll put my hand up, guys. I was wrong. I still think that RTS could be a great center. I think that RTS, whatever he puts his mind to, he could be great at it. But I think for the team, I think it's at a point now where, yeah, he's going to have to be a winger, and he's probably going to have to, you know, bite down and say, yep, I'm a winger. Be the best winger you're going to be. I don't think our best football side at the moment is RTS at the center when we can't give RTS the best ball as possible. And I didn't see at all him getting a really good ball out the back of shape with Murata running those lines. We didn't play out the back to him at all. I didn't think we created that extra number at all on that side. And the only time where I felt like we stripped the Titans was on the left side, again with Tamade Martin. 66 points to 6 is a massive defeat. We haven't seen a moment like that at all this year. I know a lot of fans will probably bring up as like, we've been mud this year. We haven't been mud this year. We've had some bad moments this year, like that 4-game streak of like, you know, not winning a game. Like that was a tough little moment, but every one of those games we had opportunities to win games, other than the Dragons game and the Roosters game. You know, the Titans game we almost won, the Knights game we almost won. If a lot of things went our way in those games, you know, RTS, there was a couple of moments where he scored off a kick, but Wade Egan dropping the ball, like, you know, you had the Titans game would come home so strong. We had 4 tries disallowed, really taken off us. You know, defensively we were well off in those games. That's what lost us those games, but we had moments to win those games. they were like, that was a good moment in that throughout this whole season. It's been the Warriors jersey of like, we're going to stick through games, no matter the scoreboard, we're always going to be there. This is the first time we've seen just a team completely fall apart. And it also just ties into what I'm saying before was I feel like there's something deeper here. And I feel like the defense that we showed at the weekend shows that maybe, just maybe, there's like the thing with Adam Vanor-Blake wanting to leave is starting to really, being one of our big leaders in our forward pack, is starting to really fall apart. And we've had a good game there without, ads, where we went against the Dolphins, not the biggest forward back in the world, but we did well and we still held up a decent run meter percentage there in that game. If I'm rewatching here, I'll go to the stats here, but I'm pretty sure we didn't lose any of the the big moments there. I do feel like with ads back in the lineup probably would add to that. And that's the thing, with ads in our lineup, when we're playing good football, he adds to that. It plays amazing. When we're playing bad football, I think he negates, it completely falls off the pace. And we've seen it a couple of times already this year. Looking at the team stats here, 1,714 run meters in that game, 581 post-contact meters, and that was without Adam Vanor-Blake. That's still an incredible target to hit every week. And if we do that, we are one of the best teams in the competition without Adam Vanor-Blake. And it might be a time where we're going to have that real strong discussion of, is he maybe more of a hindrance to have around if he's not going to put in the 100% that we need? And it's not to say effort-wise, when he plays good football, everything's good. But when we're down behind and you see the attitude kind of come out a little bit, that doesn't help us at all, being one of our biggest leaders on a football field. So again, I'm not trying to single out Adam Vanor-Blake. I don't think it was the sole problem of the weekend. I thought we were completely off the pace after that 15-minute mark, especially defensively. First contact, a defender not working hard enough. Little areas in our game like that. But he didn't help when we went behind by 24-0, or you know what I mean? He didn't really fight back the wrestle or anything like that, being one of our key members of our side. And I think the whole thing of him leaving doesn't help that at all. So to end this video, my resolutions. So number one, I think it's about time that we might need to put Tomato Martin in that 7 jersey. I do think that we will lack a little bit of the kicking meters that Shawnee does bring, but I think Shawnee's injuries are really hampering him, and I think we might need to start looking at the future. This hurts me to say, and again, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. And if Sean Johnson's named that 7 jersey, I'm going to cheer him on, and I hope every fan does. I hope every fan doesn't question that. We need to get behind players like that, but I think the best way we need to run is Tomato Martin in that 7 jersey now. I think we've seen it now where it's been a little bit, Shawnee can't get healthy as what he used to be, especially in that Daly M year last year. I'm going to call it Daly M year, even though he missed out, but he was incredible last year. He didn't have that many injuries to really run through with, and as soon as the niggles started to get back in his legs and stuff, I think it might be on his way out, and it's really sad to see. My next one, RTS to the wing. Again, as I said before, I'll put my hands up. I think the best thing, it's not so much the best thing for, RTS, but it's the best thing for the Warriors to have RTS maybe on the wing now. It doesn't change our side. I don't think Monty was the problem defensively, and I know a lot of people will say, all that sort of stuff, and I still think the errors in RTS game under the high ball, I think he needs to train in that winger position, and it will take a little bit before he gets used to that, so I hope boys don't hammer him on that. But I do think that we need to start looking at RTS maybe coming off the wing and just the work rate he will bring. And my last one, what do we do with AFB? I really don't know. Again, it's really tough because he's had moments, I don't think he's fallen off the pace at all the way up to that Panthers game. Even when we had that 3 to 4 game stint, I've seen a lot of amazing moments from ads, but when we do go behind, it's starting to be a little bit of all right, things are he starts to put his head down. He doesn't get around with the squad. And I think it's starting to now show cracks in our squad. And when you see a big loss like that over the weekend, we need to start looking at the attitude of the squad. And what would I do? It sucks to say because Zion's out till I think later on in the year with that ankle injury. I know Webby, the reason why Webby doesn't change his squad completely off the pace is because he wants to keep those inexperienced players away from the cauldron of the NRL. If they miss tackles, they do something wrong, a lot of people are going to have the wrong attitude over these young players. So he's trying to save that and also try to bring them up all together. but I think it might be time to start looking at Dimitri Sifikula, or one of these boys, like even Bunty Afoa. Give him a starting spot. We probably won't look at with the same energy as Adafin or Blake. We probably won't have that single individual that's going to do a lot of work there. But I think we've gone away from being the individual side now. I think we're a game plan that suits where a team comes together. We're not a game plan that suits an individual trying to take away that game plan. That kind of feeds into the argument of SJ versus Tamate Martin. I think Tamate Martin became a bit more of a play the system the way it was supposed to be played, whereas Sean Johnson, I think when things don't go his way, he tries to do a lot to try and get us back. And I love that about SJ, but I think it's hampered him a little bit, especially when he goes down with injury. He tries to play for injury. It doesn't help him at all. Ads is fairly the same. It's like, he's an individual type player. I don't think he's a team type player. And it helps when we got Fisher Harris coming next year. I do believe when you look at the Panthers, he is a team player. When the Panthers don't go well, they rely on their team to go well. I know a lot of people will point out, Nathan Cleary in the grand final did it all by himself and stuff, and that's fine. Like, he was incredible in that grand final, but people don't remember the moments when the Panthers started to fire again. They had that double change that I'm pretty sure they had Leota, Fisher Harris come back on the field. Leota had some massive moments. Cleary had massive moments on the back of that. Incredible. Played with a good forward pack there too, and I'm not taking away anything from Cleary's game because he did that with like an MCL tear. Like, it was incredible, or a PCL tear. Like, bro, incredible moment. But he didn't just stand up. Fisher Harris stood up. Leota stood up. Stephen Crichton stood up. Like, there was a lot of players that stood up in those moments and played amazing football. And that's what makes the Panthers so good. You look at the Doggies, they become more of a team side now, like especially with their smaller forward pack. They don't have a one forward that's going to do a ton of the work. Kickout just gets and does his job now. He's not just I want to do everything by myself sort of thing. I think we got to start doing that now. I think that will help our side a lot. So, yeah. That's my thoughts, guys. I know it's been a lot of hurt out there. Hopefully this video I don't think I was too negative at all. I think there's a lot of positives when we start looking at, like, we've seen moments where this team works. Like, as I said, like, I think a lot of people do forget we had a really good start to this year where we build the foundations, but I think it did come off the back of having Sean Johnson and a 6 there, not Tamate Martin playing in that 6 role and wrestling, either way. That 3-game stint started with Sean Johnson and Luke Metcalf with the Raiders, the Knights, and the Metcalf went down. Chanel came in and played amazing there, even though the Rabbits was the outlier there. But then we start looking at our other 3-game streak. We had Tamate Martin being that sole 7 that played both sides of the ruck, that unlocked, other players just playing their role. Chanel was in there playing 6, played amazing. You had, CNK playing 6, and it unlocked it, and we beat the Panthers. So I think we need to looking into that now. But also, we need to get back to defense. That's the biggest thing, guys. We need to get back to defense. We need our middles to work harder to tie in with our edges, especially, when we're working out. We saw it, as I said, with the weekend. The Titans, they were playing, with that tram line and then bouncing back in because our middle defense was not covering it through the middle, and there's a lot of moments there. Keanu Keeney tore us apart with the speed through the middle. Ads wasn't covering well. Even in moments, I think Dylan Walker over covered, and then from there that inside cover didn't come early enough. Like, when JC came through and came off that left foot, like, it was a very poor performance. I do believe that was a fairly one-off performance. I would say that. But again, when we start seeing after a 3-game win streak, a 2-game losing streak, when things start to go back to that 4-game, we're starting to think of 4 games lost now. We're coming against the Broncos too on the weekend, so next weekend. So we need to start getting back on the horse as quickly as possible to try and get into top 8, because we've totally lost our top 4 credentials now, and I do believe that we aren't a premiership threat anymore. I think that's dead and gone. I held on to that all the way up till probably, the Storm game over the weekend. Maybe I dropped it out when the Roosters game with that 3 to 4 game stint, but I think completely now it's like we need to start looking at getting to the top 8, revitalizing our season, showing where our game plan works, because our game plan works, Webby works, everything else works. I just think that our effort needs to be there, and that's my honest thing. I do believe. I don't think Sean Johnson's the complete problem, but I do think that we need to start looking at future without Shawnee because of injuries. I don't think that RTS is a complete problem, but I do think that maybe we could utilize RTS so much better, getting ball in his hand as much as we can. All the problems that people point out online is such a simplified look of what our problem is. People need to start looking at the deeper problem here. And I think the attitude, the efforts when things don't go our way is completely far away from what we were last year, especially through the middle. Especially through the middle defensively. I know our edge has been cutting apart, but a lot of that has come down to our middles not pushing out and linking with our edges, and really our boys trying to cover inside and then pushing out. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's a long ass video. What's this? 43 minutes on the dot right now. And yeah, comment down below your thoughts overall, guys. I'll chat to you guys in the comment section. Appreciate you guys. Have a good weekend. Up the wires. Let's go.